Alesa from Holliday Getaways. Welcome to AllVeil Unveiled.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your business and what you do?
Yeah, so Holliday Getaways is a travel agency. I can specialize in destination weddings as well as honeymoon destinations. That could be US based, Hawaii, Florida, any of the mountains, Alaska, or it can be international, whether that's Europe, a cruise, any all inclusive resorts. And yeah, so I am a travel agent and I love to work with couples. I've worked with 3 different states, so very, very broad.
Yes. And just to point out, you're our first travel agent on AllVeil, so that makes you extremely special. So I'm so excited to have you. I think that this is going to be amazing for brides who are, doing destination weddings, doing destination elopements, honeymooning, all of the things. We want to be a one-stop shop, and I think you're like the final puzzle piece to that. So we're so excited to have you, and thank you for joining and doing AllVeil Unveiled too, and just doing the marketing for it. We're super excited to have you.
Of course.
So what inspired you to start Holliday Getaway?
So I do have a full-time job outside of Holliday Getaways, but what really inspired me to take the next step into my travel business is honestly, I was a December 2025 bride. And when I was starting to do my research of all of the vendors, I noticed that travel agents were not listed. I knew that the honeymoon is a special part, and I include it in a wedding. It's not an additional thing on top of it, but it's a part of the wedding. It's the celebration of this next step. And when I started my travel agency, there wasn't a lot in my area in Central Illinois of people advertising this. What can I do for a honeymoon? What is included in a honeymoon? And how do I even go about starting to plan this? I'm already overwhelmed with all of this wedding planning. And so what really took me to the next step was realizing that there was a missing piece. And that's what I'm looking for in AllVeil Unveiled to just help guide these brides into what's possible, which there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot in travel that's possible.
I do have to say, I was also a December 2024 bride. So There's not very many of us, but we were in the same boat because and it's just, you talk about like travel things, not knowing necessarily all your options or what to do. My husband really wanted to go to Ireland for our honeymoon, and that's what we were going to do the whole time. And then we started talking to people, and they were like, hey, you realize that that's like the worst time to go to Ireland in the world because it's so cold and so many of the things that you would want to see like is closed down. I genuinely think that if my husband would have known that, he probably would not have wanted to have a December wedding because he wanted to go so bad.
Yeah.
And so we had to completely pivot. And it's so funny that we both had December weddings and both had
we actually postponed our wedding or our honeymoon. So we did like a 4-night stay in Cancun right after, but we wanted to go to Italy. So kind of the same boat. It's not the greatest time, but as a travel agent, I knew the knowledge, and we actually are going in May. So
that's my husband's goal too, is just to have a postponed honeymoon, in the next years to Ireland. So hopefully I can give him that. I've been a little busy lately, but hopefully we can do it.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about helping couples?
Honestly, I love seeing the pictures after. I love being able to talk with brides. I know it's stressful to try and talk during wedding planning, but seeing the photos and hearing their reviews afterwards of just how relaxing it was, how it truly was just like the tip of the iceberg of just relaxing and being with each other after the stress of the big day. It flies by. I'm sure we both know that. the day flies by, and then being able to just like take a moment, take a week, a few days, and just relax for this new start is the best thing as a travel agent.
So if a couple comes to you and they're like, Alesa, I don't even know where to start, what is your like first steps you would take with them?
I typically jump on the phone, and I know a lot of younger people don't like to talk on the phone, but I'm a yapper, and I love getting to know the couple first. Yeah. Being able to understand their dynamic. Are they an active couple? Do they want to just sit on the beach and do nothing? I love to sit there and do nothing, but some people like the activities. And so taking the time to kind of understand their background, understand them as a couple, really helps me narrow down either a destination or even a type of vacation. Are you going to go to a all-inclusive? Do you want more like a cruise where you can stay put but go to different places? Really jumping on that phone call is that first step of understanding where you can go.
Well, and too, with like a phone call, you can give the couple a better idea of, you know, maybe some options they didn't even think about or they didn't even know about, which is a lot harder to do in an email or text.
Yeah.
Our generation does not like to talk on the phone. I'm like you, though. I'm a yapper. FaceTime me, call me, whatever you want to do.
I have FaceTimed couples before. I do have like family vacations that they like to jump on the phone, but I have FaceTimed before. It's not uncommon, especially with people our age.
So what are your, I would say for 2026 brides, what are your favorite honeymoon destinations you're seeing recently?
Right now, there is a lot of St. Lucia. Everyone wants to go see the beautiful waters. They want the activities and the relaxation. For people who want to stay a little closer, or even maybe not travel out of the country, right now passports are a big issue, just things like that. Hawaii has honestly been a really big destination for a lot of couples. And there are so many different islands of Hawaii that have different activities. So whether you want that relaxation versus that activity, you can get that still here in the US. So those are my top two right now.
St. Lucia is stunning. We went to Curacao, and it's I'm not even going to say it's pretty close, but it's in the same, area. They're not very far away, and we were going back and forth, but St. Lucia is beautiful. Hawaii's on my bucket list. I think that, like you said, Hawaii is one of those places, because it's in the US and because you don't need a passport, you get that. You can do a lot of activity in Hawaii while also, like you said, if you have one couple that they like activities, they want to go hiking, you can also recommend it for the ones who just want to stay on the beach. Are there very many all-inclusives in Hawaii? Or is
there's a big misconception. There aren't any true all-inclusives in the United States. There is, I will say, there is one that is very close to an all-inclusive in Florida, but Hawaii does not have any all-inclusives. They do have some hotels that have meals included, maybe like a breakfast included for an additional cost, but there isn't that true all-inclusive resort.
That is very interesting, because I did not know that. Now, when we were looking, we looked in Montana because we were going in the winter. So we shopped a lot, but we were looking for all-inclusives in Montana, and we were not finding anything. But I did not know that there is zero all-inclusives, like true all-inclusives.
True all-inclusives. Yes, there's a few resorts here and there. There are a few in Montana. I think there is one in Tennessee, and I'll have to look at the name. I think it's Blueberry something. And they are very close to a resort where they have the meals, things like that. But it's not that true all-inclusive that you're going to get in the Dominican and Mexico when people think of an all-inclusive.
What are the biggest challenges a couple may face if they're planning a destination wedding?
Destination weddings do get a little tricky and they're very complicated. They're really hard to understand and grasp everything that goes into it. So using a travel agent really does help with corralling all of the vendors, understanding the hotel contracts in and out. They really take the time to learn it for the couple. But I would say the biggest hardship or struggle that couple's going to face is just truly understanding what they're getting out of the package of a destination wedding. How many rooms are required for them to have it? How many people are even allowed at the venue? You can't obviously sell out an entire all-inclusive in Mexico. So trying to understand the ins and outs of the rules, that's where I would step in. I would then become that liaison between the couple and the hotel.
Well, that would make it just a lot less overwhelming for the couple, because I feel like with a destination wedding, they're beautiful, and obviously they're going to be, most of the time, unless you've just got bank, they're going to be a lot smaller than a normal wedding, where you're from. So having to talk to all of your family and your friends and your loved ones and coordinating with them gives them the space with you to let you plan out all the technical stuff, and they just be a relayer to the family and friends.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up, because as a travel agent, those room payments, those contracts, I actually would help with that. So the bride and the groom would then not be that question person, the go-to to answer all of the questions for Aunt Sally or Uncle Mark or whoever it is. I would then become that point of contact. So the bride and the groom can really focus on what they truly need to for that wedding.
Give us kind of two scenarios. We know what it would look like in the beginning for a destination wedding, but give us kind of two scenarios of what it would look like working with you start to finish on a destination wedding and a honeymoon.
Yeah. So destination weddings, I'll start with that. Typically, my process for both do start out the same. I have an inquiry form, and I typically ask a client or a couple to fill that out. That will help me understand kind of the scope. Do you understand, or do you know where you want to go? Or are you just looking for some place that's going to be adults only? Do you not want any kids to join? Do you want all of the family? Do you want to make it a big family vacation type feel? So that inquiry form really is that start. And once I look at the inquiry form, that's when I'll reach out. I have on there a question that asks them the best method of contact. I typically do call them at least once. But I collect all contact information and kind of start going through some research. That will help the couple understand kind of a few choices to start out with, and then we can narrow down after that phone call. So once we get through that phone call, the couple decides, maybe there's some back and forth there, but hopefully I've kind of narrowed it down enough where the couple has choices, but they can really see a future in one of them. And so after that, I will start reaching out to the hotel. I'll start reaching out to my side of it, getting all of those details, outlining for the couple the prices, the room blocks, any deadlines, any money that may be required up front. Most of these places, just like a normal venue, would require a down payment or a deposit. So just really outlining the next steps would be my main focus, making sure the couple understands most of the time there is a contract that you have to sign with the hotel. So similar to a regular venue, but just making sure that they know what they're signing up for before they get too far down the road. And then once the contract and the down payment is paid, contract signed, that's where the fun part begins. Yeah. The couple can then start planning any florist, any photographers. Sometimes the venues do have a list of vendors, kind of like regular venues. They have the preferred vendors. But they get to start planning the fun part. And then I am then managing the room block, making sure that all of the parents and the families and the bridesmaids and groomsmen, they all know what they need to do to make sure they are there on the day of the wedding. And the bride doesn't have to worry about that, or the groom, but mainly the bride. So that's kind of what the outline of that destination wedding is. I follow up all the way through the deadlines of room blocks, and here deposits and final payments need to be paid at this time. And I go all the way through the wedding. So I'm not physically there, but I have contacts at resorts. I'm making sure that everything's being followed up. And then, of course, I follow up with the bride and the groom after the wedding, make sure everything was to what they were expecting. I'm always available to my clients. I like to say 24/7 during travel. It's a very big point to say during travel. I mean, destination weddings, for sure, I am there because this is your day. It's not just a trip. It is your vacation, but it's also your wedding. And so making sure that everything goes to plan.
Wedding planners don't get mad at me for saying this, but it sounds like you're basically playing that role as well. Obviously, like a day of coordinator would, for sure be something that you would want still. But when it comes to like the planning ahead of time, it's basically like you're also playing that role as well, 100%, making sure everything goes smoothly.
I go hand in hand with day of coordinators, wedding planners. I am not by any means the replacement of those individuals on your wedding day. I had a day of coordinator myself. I absolutely loved her and I needed her. But I handle that hotel aspect of the planning. So yes, we work very well hand in hand, making sure that they have everything they need as well. As far as honeymoon clients, I don't want to say they're a little easier because there are so many different places that you can go for a honeymoon, and everyone is completely different, which is why I love honeymoons and couples so much, because it starts out the same. I ask them to fill out an inquiry. I do that kind of general call, understand the couple a little more, but then the honeymoon's the celebration. It's the fun. And so once you have where you want to go, whether it's Europe, whether it's a cruise, all inclusive, whatever it is, we have the room booked. We have the flights. Those are the main things I look for first. Do we have a way to get there? And do we have a place to stay? Do we have the bare bones? Yes. Now we get to do the fun part. Do we want to go on excursions? Do we want to do specific tours? Do we want to go all out? Or do we want to just read a book by the pool and decompress from a really busy day? And personally, I did both on my trip to Cancun. I did both, and I absolutely loved it. So while there's not as much that goes into a honeymoon, I still curate a honeymoon that is personalized to each client. Each client's different, and each client's going to want something different. So that's really the fun part of a honeymoon planning.
So with honeymoon planning, there's a lot of different luxury add-ons you can get. What is one for honeymoons that just comes to mind that you would say is absolutely worth it? You can have a specific place in mind, but for our honeymoon, there was one luxury that it was a butler. And so that was one luxury that we were like, I don't know if we'll need it. We went ahead not doing it. And after talking to another couple who was there, they had one, and they were like, and we asked them, we're like, was it worth it? And they were probably in their mid to later 30s. And they were like, honestly, no. And they said the reason why is because she was like, I feel bad. She was like, I'm able-bodied to get up and get my own drinks. And she was like, I feel bad that he's bringing me all my food and all my drinks every time. And me and Caleb were kind of thinking about it. We're like, we would probably feel the same way, just as, as a younger person, we would probably feel the same way. She's like, now, laying the towels out in the morning's been great. She was like, but she was like, I don't know if I would do it again. And so that was one where we're like, oh, okay. But there was other ones while we were there, that the spa, for instance, or like things like that, where we were like, we probably could have splurged on that and it would have been worth it. So what are yours specifically for you that you say is worth it?
I think my number one, when I was thinking, when you were talking, I had a butler for my honeymoon as well. And I was the same way. I was like, I feel bad texting them. I don't want to use them. I know they're here, but I don't want to use them. And I loved it. I still message my butler. Like, we're friends. Shout out to Maria. Sweet. I don't think she'll watch this, but absolutely loved her. But I think butlers are a great add-on. The very first thing that came to my mind, though, was a private transfer. And for anyone who doesn't know what a private transfer is, you need a way to get from your airport to wherever you're going, to your all-inclusive, to your resort, things like that. And so my biggest add-on, I would say, is pay for the private transfer. The last thing you don't want to do when you get get off of a plane going to your honeymoon is wait for a few hours on a stuffy bus with a whole bunch of other people, especially if you're going to a family-friendly resort. You can still go to a family-friendly resort for your honeymoon, but use a private transfer and not have to worry about the kids on the bus screaming because they got off of a plane. You don't have to worry about if anything is smelly because you're in Mexico or you're traveling.
Hours,
yeah. So I think personally, my biggest luxury is the private transfer to and from your resort. It really kicks off that alone time with your husband or your wife or your partner. And it really makes you feel like you're the only couple there. You're not worried about that shared transfer.
And can I be honest? I didn't even know that was an option. So that's why people should book with you, because I didn't even know there was private transport, but I would have 100% used it because that was our experience getting to and for anyone that books in Curacao, we did Sandals. The Sandals Resort was like an hour drive from the airport, which we did not realize. So we were on a bus with a bunch of people for like at least an hour. So if we would have known about the private transport, that would have been amazing.
A lot of people, going back to St. Lucia, a lot of people don't understand that those resorts in St. Lucia, they're not 15 minutes from the airport like Mexico is. You're going 2 hours, 3 hours, going around the hills, up and down. If you get motion sick, the number one thing I tell all of my clients, whether you think you get motion sick or not, always pack Dramamine or always pack some sort of motion sickness. Yeah. A lot of St. Lucia, you have 3 options for transfers. And I know this is getting a little nitty gritty, but helicopter. I love to recommend helicopter. It's a luxury upgrade, but you get there a lot sooner. The second option, go on the bus for 2 hours, 3 hours, winding hills around the island. And 3 is a public ferry. So you can do a ferry. It's not as stuffy as a bus, but it's still more public than a helicopter private transfer would be.
That's so cool. I didn't even know about the helicopters, but we were the same way. I mean, just we had no idea about how many hills there were through these islands, and going through those like very narrow roads, it was very nerve-wracking. I was like, I've got to put my headphones in and just not pay attention because this is stressing me out until we get there.
And then you have the surround sound of every other person on the bus probably thinking the same thing.
Yep. What's one piece of advice you wish every bride knew before planning their honeymoon?
That's a good question. I personally wish that brides would know that it's okay to not know exactly what you want. Some people are like, I am going here. this has been my dream, and then completely change. They can go through it, and then after talking with someone who's knowledgeable in the destination, they're like, oh, well, my husband gets motion sick. I can't go on a bus for 3 hours, and he's scared of heights. Well, he can't do the helicopter either. So it's okay to not know what you want and to change your mind or your destination. Now, I will say, don't change your destination once you put a deposit down. But in the planning stage, I don't mind digging in more, answering questions. This is your honeymoon. I want to make sure that it's perfect for you. And if there's something that you don't know, it's okay to ask.
Yeah. No,
I don't know it. I have colleagues, I have people in the industry. Someone will know. So please ask, and please know that it's okay to change your mind.
The thing about having a travel agent is that Google can only do so much. You know what I'm saying? Like especially when you're traveling internationally or planning a wedding that's international, it's a lot better to have someone who has the contacts and who has the knowledge, because a lot of times the answers you may be looking for, you're not going to find it on Google, or you're not going to find it very easily. And while you're already planning a wedding, that's going to be a lot of stress.
I always tell people, and this may sound absurd, but would you rather have someone else sitting on a hold phone call if something were to go wrong, or you have any questions? Maybe your flight got delayed. Maybe someone didn't come pick you up. Your room's not right. You don't have to waste your time on your honeymoon worrying about that. That's what I am here for. I have contacts. I can contact the hotel while you go sit at the pool and have a drink. So I like to tell people, the big name stores, I'm not going to name names, but the big name stores aren't going to know you personally. They're not going to care if your room's not right. You're going to have to sit on a 4-hour hold.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can use a travel agent, a local travel agent, and text them, hey, what's up with this issue? And I'm going to sit on hold while you go enjoy the rest of your honeymoon.
That's an amazing point, because I think my misconception, and I think a lot of people's would be that once they get there and they arrive at the resort, you're done, you're clocked out, you booked it, you're ready. But hearing you say that, no, I'm still there for you when you're there if something goes wrong. Obviously you wouldn't want to hear from them, because that means everything's gone great, but you're still there and still available whenever they need, if something doesn't go right and you're the person. So that was a misconception I had. So that's amazing to hear.
Yes. So travel agents, I like to say I'm there before, during, and after. I'm there before to help you plan, make sure everything is good to go for your travel day. I'm there during if you need anything, whether it's a question, something goes wrong, hopefully not, but there's always something going on. Weather, you can never know about the weather. So I'm there during if you need me, and then I'm there after. Tell me if something wasn't right. Tell me if I did a good job. I love to hear back from clients. I love repeat clients because I know them, and I love to hear how the trip went. I said before, my favorite part of the entire thing is seeing the photos and seeing how happy and relaxed couples are. So I am here as a travel agent before, during, and after your trip.
Speaking of misconceptions, is it cheaper or is it more expensive to book with a travel agent like Holliday Getaways?
Holliday Getaways is a free service. I do not get paid by the customer, the client, the couple. Wow. I get paid by the supplier. So whether that's a resort or a cruise line, they pay me, and it's built into their fees. So it's not more expensive to book with a travel agent. I am seeing the same prices as you would directly, but you're getting now my personalized service. You're getting all of my tips and tricks for the destination, all of my information, and you're getting someone during travel, like we just talked about, if anything were to go wrong. So I always like to tell people it's always the difference of, do you want to support a local business owner like Holiday Getaways, or do you want to book it and maybe not have the most up-to-date information or the experience and knowledge from a travel expert?
That's perfect, because I think a lot of people assume with booking a travel agent that that's just an added fee on top of their planning experience already. You know, I'm already spending so much on a honeymoon. I don't want to spend more on a travel agent, when that's really not the case at all. You're working directly with the, resort that they're going to. It's almost, how I think of in like layman's terms is you're basically marketing for the resort, helping these couples get there. And because of that, they're basically, repaying you for helping them do that.
It's an added bonus for those couples to use someone. If you don't, I know before I became a travel agent, I didn't use a travel agent.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many unknowns booking it direct. And I will say, even as a travel agent, I can get prices that could be lower. So while I'm the same price as the direct site, I can also be cheaper. And that's really great. I will say, like Disney's an expensive vacation, whether it's a honeymoon or not. But they allow, similar to other suppliers, they allow for price drops. So if you book, then you can rebook it at a lower cost. And using a travel agent, I look for those things. You don't have to be searching online after you book for deals to come out. I'm going to tell you, or I'm going to put that lower price onto your booking if I can.
Dude, that's amazing, because I feel like most people, when they book, they're done looking at it. So they would never see those price drops. I would be that person, where if I was booking with Disney and there was price drops that came by, I would never know about them, because I would think, well, I booked it and it's done,
Yeah. I saved a family. It's not a couple, but I saved a family going to Disney $700 a few months ago. And they were forever grateful, because $700 goes a long way. Whether that's another excursion on your resort trip, it could be another vacation, honestly, like a deposit down on your next vacation. And
it could be a few meals at Disney.
Yes.
If it's a family, like that.
Exactly. So using a travel agent, it really does honestly save you money. It saves you money and it saves you time.
Yeah. Which is exactly what everyone needs. So
especially brides.
Yes, especially brides. Alesa, thank you so much for coming on AllVeil Unveiled. I hope you had an amazing time. Thank you for telling me and educating me and everyone else who listens to this, anyone else who sees the clips on social media, what all travel agents have to offer, what all you can help them with as a bride and for honeymooners. And we're so excited to have your service on AllVeil now. So thank you so much. You can find Holiday Getaways on AllVeil, of course. Their socials, we'll put them in the description, and your website. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.